You ever ride out to a place you thought was going to be your fresh start, only to find it's holding a secret that stops you dead in your tracks? That's what happened to Jack Harlan, a man who'd seen too much war, spent every last dime on a patch of Wyoming dirt called Bitter Creek Ranch, hoping it'd be his ticket to a quiet life. But when he crested that final hill, red dust swirling around his horse's hooves, what he saw wasn't rolling fields or a cozy cabin. It was a girl, tall as a barn door, hanging from a gallows, her long legs kicking weak against the evening breeze, rope biting into her neck like some kind of cruel promise. Jack froze, hands tight on the reins, heart pounding like it hadn't in years. He'd seen death too much of it, up close, bloody, and loud, but this was different, quieter, colder, like the world had turned its back on this girl and left her to swing. Her name, he'd learn later, was Clara, but right then, she was just a stranger, her face bruised, her gray-green eyes wide with fear, begging without words. He could have turned away, ridden off, let fate do its work. Most folks would have. But something in those eyes, that silent plea, hit him like a punch to the gut. His hand went to the knife at his belt, and before he could think twice, he was off the horse, blade flashing in the sunset, cutting the rope clean. Clara hit the ground hard, dust clouding up around her like a storm, and Jack dropped to his knees, checking for a pulse, muttering, "Come on, don't quit on me now." She was alive, barely, her breath raspy, her skin hot as fever. He trickled water from his canteen into her mouth, and when her eyes fluttered open, they were wild, like a cornered animal's, but full of tears. "He sold me," she whispered, voice cracked and raw. "Tucker Vance. Left me here to die." That name Vance hit Jack like a rifle shot. That was the snake who'd sold him this land. All smiles and fast talk, pushing papers across a saloon table in Cheyenne, saying, "Sign now, Harlan, or you'll miss your shot." Too good a deal, too quick, and now Jack knew why. Vance hadn't just sold him a ranch, sold him a grave, with Clara's name on it. The ranch itself told a story. Sagging porch, dry well, fences half broken, but there were signs someone had been here, fresh straw in the pens, a door painted bright red, like a lie trying to cover up the truth. Clara, it turned out, had been Vance's workhorse plowing fields, hauling timber, scaring off rustlers with her size alone. But when Vance's debts piled up, when the loan sharks from Laramie came knocking, he didn't sell his fancy boots or his silver spurs. He offered Clara, called her a freak, strung her up as a warning to anyone who crossed him. Jack sat there in the dirt, looking at her, all 6'4" of her, bruises circling her neck like a noose's shadow. She wasn't a monster, just a girl maybe 20, with a face too young for the pain in her eyes. He carried her inside, laid her on a mattress that smelled of mildew and thyme, and as the sun bled out over the prairie, Jack knew he'd stepped into something bigger than himself. "You're alive," he told her when she woke again, her voice hoarse, asking, "Why'd you save me?" Jack just shrugged, his voice low, steady. "I've seen too many left behind, Clara. Swore I'd never let it happen again." She stared at him, half suspicious, half grateful, like she wasn't used to kindness that didn't come with strings. Then she told him more, how Vance had used her, worked her to the bone, called her beast instead of her name. How he'd gambled away his money in Laramie's backrooms, and when the debt collectors showed up, he pointed to her, said she was the problem, a monster who'd scared off his workers, run his ranch into the ground. They believed him, she said, her voice breaking. Tied me up, left me to hang, so everyone know what happens when you don't pay. Jack's jaw tightened. He'd wanted peace, a place to bury the ghosts of war, but this land was soaked in betrayal, and now he was part of it. That night, as Clara slept, Jack heard hooves, slow and steady, coming down the road. Lanterns flickered in the dark, like eyes watching. He snuffed out the oil lamp, grabbed his Winchester, and whispered to Clara, "Stay still. We've got company." The door rattled under a heavy fist, and a voice, thick with tobacco and menace, called out, "Harlan, we know you're in there. You and that freak. Come out, or we burn this place to ash." Jack stepped onto the porch, moonlight cold on his face, and faced 5 men on horseback, pistols glinting. Their leader, a wiry guy with a beard like tangled wire, sneered. "Vance owed us, Harlan. This land, that girl, it's ours now. Hand him over." Jack didn't flinch. "I bought this ranch fair and square, deed signed by the territorial court. Whatever deal Vance made, it's not on me." The bearded man laughed, spitting into the dirt. "Court papers? Out here, the only law's the one with the most bullets. You got 7 days, Harlan. Pay up, or we take everything including her." They rode off, dust trailing like a warning, and Jack stood there, hand on his gun, knowing peace wasn't coming anytime soon. Clara, sitting up now, her shadow huge against the wall, whispered, "I'm trouble, Jack. They'll kill you because of me." He looked at her, saw the fear, the guilt, and something else, strength, buried deep. "If I walk away," he said, "I'll never sleep again. We're in this together." For the next 7 days, they worked like their lives depended on it because they did. Jack fixed fences, dug ditches, planned crops, while Clara hauled logs and cleared fields, her hands steady despite the bruises. At night, Jack pored over Vance's debt ledger, a mess of numbers that could drown a man, while Clara mended clothes, her big fingers clumsy but determined. On the 7th day, the hooves came back, louder, angrier, a dozen men now, rifles gleaming, ropes coiled like snakes. The bearded leader, grinning like he'd already won, shouted, "Time's up, Harlan. Give us the land and the beast." Jack stepped to the gate, rifle raised, and Clara stood behind him, tall as a storm cloud, eyes burning. The gang laughed until Jack fired, the bullet kicking up dirt at their feet, spooking a horse. Chaos broke loose. Gunfire split the air, smoke and sparks turning the ranch into a battlefield. Jack, steady as stone, picked off riders with a soldier's aim, while Clara roared, tearing a beam from the gallows and swinging it like a club, sending men sprawling. She grabbed one by the collar, tossed him into the dirt, then yanked a lasso off another, flipping him like a rag doll. In the end, only the bearded leader was left, cowering behind a saddle. Clara hauled him up, her eyes blazing with years of pain, ready to crush him. "Don't," Jack said, rifle still aimed. "We're not them." Clara's hands shook, tears streaming, but she dropped him, and Jack leaned in close. "Run. Tell your boys this land's ours. Come back, and it's your grave." The man scrambled off, his gang limping behind, and the ranch fell quiet, the air thick with gunpowder and dust. They didn't stop there. Jack rode to Laramie, ledger in hand, and faced the traitors Vance had swindled. "I'm not Vance," he said, voice raw. "Give me 3 months, and I'll pay every cent." An old traitor, skeptical but impressed, gave him a nod. 3 months, Harlan. Don't make me regret it." Back at the ranch, Jack and Clara poured everything into the land. Corn sprouted green, fences stood tall, cattle filled the pens. Clara's laugh loud, free, like a kid started to echo across the fields. One night, she held up a bundle of corn, grinning like she'd won a prize, and Jack laughed, a sound he hadn't heard from himself in years. 3 months later, the ranch was alive, water flowing through new ditches, the air smelling of earth instead of blood. They sat on the porch, coffee steaming, and Clara, her hand on Jack's shoulder, said, "We survived, Jack. We made it." He nodded, voice low, turned a noose into a home. The debt wasn't gone, and trouble might come again, but Jack had found something he'd lost in the war, a reason to keep going. Clara, once called a beast, was just Clara now, strong, alive, home. But here's the thing, out in a place like Bitter Creek, where justice often comes from a gun or a rope, what's right ain't always clear. Jack saved Clara, sure, but he's tied to that land now. To her, to a fight that might never end. Was it worth it, stepping into Vance's mess? Or should he have ridden away, left Clara to her fate? I want to hear what you think. Drop it in the comments. Would you cut the rope or keep riding? And if you've got a story about standing up when the odds are against you, share it. Hit that subscribe button, and let's keep telling these stories, where lost souls find each other in the dust and wind.